When you're looking at investments, it's so tempting to just pick the one with the highest return, right? I mean, bigger is better. But what if that big, flashy number is hiding a really risky, stressful journey for your money? Well, there's a much smarter way to see the whole picture. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. So let's imagine this classic scenario. You've got two choices. On one side, there's Fund A, and it's offering a really juicy 12% return. But its journey is a total roller coaster, lots of high highs and low lows. On the other side, you've got Fund B. It's got a slightly lower 11% return, but its growth is way more stable and smooth. So which one do you pick? I mean, the higher return seems like a no-brainer, but that bumpy ride with Fund A adds a whole lot of risk. See, the answer isn't nearly as simple as it looks on the surface, and that's where this really powerful tool called the Sharpe Ratio comes into play. And here it is, the Sharpe Ratio. This is the metric that helps us solve our little problem. To put it simply, it measures how much return you're getting for the amount of risk you have to put up with. In other words, it's all about the risk-adjusted return. What's so great about this is that the Sharpe Ratio basically boils everything down to one single crucial question. Is this fund actually giving me enough of a reward for the amount of risk it's making me take? Now, I know that might still sound a little abstract, so let's make it real. We're going to use a simple analogy I like to call the two-driver test. Okay, imagine you've got two drivers, and they both need to get you to the exact same place. Driver A, well, he gets you there, sure, but the ride is a total nightmare. He's speeding up, slamming on the brakes, lurching around corners. It's fast, but man, it's stressful. That's high volatility for you. And then you've got driver B. She also gets you to the exact same destination, but the whole journey is just smooth, steady, and predictable. No drama, no sudden moves. It's a way more comfortable and, frankly, less risky ride. So, who's the better driver? I think we all know the answer to this one, right? It's not just about getting to the destination, it's about how you get there. The smooth driver is obviously better, and that, right there, is the core idea of the Sharpe Ratio. A higher Sharpe Ratio means you've picked the smoother, more efficient driver, the investment that gives you a better return for the risk you're taking. Okay, so the analogy makes sense, but how do we actually put this to work when we're looking at real investments? Let's get practical. Let's go right back to our two funds from the beginning. Fund A has that high return, but because of its high risk, it only gets a moderate Sharpe Ratio. But Fund B, with its slightly lower return but much lower risk, actually earns a high Sharpe Ratio. So here's the bottom line. The thing you have to remember, when you're comparing funds, a higher Sharpe Ratio is better. It's a signal that you're getting more bang for your buck, or more accurately, more return for your risk. Using it is actually a pretty simple two-step process. First, and this is super important, you always have to compare funds that are in the same category. You know, apples to apples. Compare two large cap funds, for instance, not a large cap fund to a small cap fund. And second, all other things being equal, you choose the one with the higher Sharpe Ratio. It's that easy. And to make sure you're using it the right way, you've got to avoid these common mistakes. Don't just look at returns. That's what got us into this whole conversation in the first place. Don't ignore the volatility. Definitely don't compare funds across different categories because their risk profiles are totally different. And finally, don't use the Sharpe Ratio all by itself. It's a powerful tool, but it's part of a bigger picture. So, speaking of the bigger picture, let's see where the Sharpe Ratio fits in with a couple of other key metrics you've probably heard of: alpha and beta. I like to think of them as a performance trio. You have alpha, which tells you about the fund's extra return, the outperformance. Then you have beta, which tells you its risk level or volatility. And then you have the Sharpe Ratio, which is like the master balancer, putting both return and risk into one elegant number. So, you could say that while alpha is focused on the performance and beta is focused on the risk, the Sharpe Ratio is what really gives you the full story. It brings together the insights from both, telling you if that performance was actually worth the risk you took to get it. So, after all this, what's the one big important takeaway you should remember from our little explainer today? It's this: don't just chase the highest return percentage. You want to choose the better driver, not just the fastest one. Choose the investment with the better risk-adjusted return, and the Sharpe Ratio is your guide to finding it. And before we wrap things up, a very quick but very important disclaimer. This conversation is for educational purposes only. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Please consult a qualified professional before investing.